Hi everyone. So thanks for being here, and this is the second session of the summer sketchbook series, and I would like to talk about a few questions that people have asked me over the last week. So one of them was, I'm a beginner, I don't know how to draw. And what I have to say to that is anyone can draw. And I know I run into people all the time who say, oh, I could never draw, I can't draw stick people, but you can, because drawing is a skill. It's very much like learning to play a musical instrument. So you just need to practice. But then it's like, okay, well, how do I practice? So if we go back in time, my timeline to about 25 years ago, I picked up a How to Draw Flowers book and a pencil and a sketch pad. And I started drawing again. I had not done anything since I was in high school, and I took one class in college. And I was very awkward and clumsy, but after a while I just kept practicing the little tutorials. They were just like little pictures, draw this line first, then this one. And I started like feeling like I could do this again. And that just opened me up to taking classes and starting at the beginning and buying books on drawing. So I want you to know, if you've never drawn anything except for maybe a bad stick figure, you can draw. And you don't want to jump in and try and draw like the human face or the figure or your pet. Start simple, like with just simple shapes, just getting your eye-hand coordination kind of back in the swing of things, because you probably drew when you were a kid. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about one of the elements of style is drawing a line. And line is beautiful. Line is everything. The way you make line. And this is something you can fill your sketchbook with pencils, with charcoal, with crayons, with ink pens. Lines can be beautiful in how you bring your way of making marks and lines to your page. And when we look at line, it's not so much about the subject we're drawing, it's about the line and how the lines kind of come together to create whatever it is we're drawing. Or it could be abstract, however you see it. So I'm going to share with you some things that I've been working on, and I'm going to show you a couple different exercises that you can bring to your sketchbook. Because remember, your sketchbook is your sketchbook, and how you fill it is how you choose to. It doesn't have to be this perfect place. It is how you're experimenting and the discoveries you're making. And I like to put notes in my sketchbook so I can remember some of the discoveries that I make and think about it. So I want you to think about that, and I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to give it a try, and I'm going to show you some fun things to get you started, and we're going to really focus on line today. Okay, so I just want to show you a few things that I'm going to demonstrate today. I like to draw with charcoal. I love how rich it is and velvety. I love the marks I can make, but I also like to use graphite pencils as well. I don't use them a lot, mainly for some small marks. So if you're just beginning, or if you haven't tried charcoal, you can buy small packs of these just to get yourself familiar with it. I like to use an HB, which is a harder pencil, a 2B, which I think that's a 2B, and a 4B. It goes up to 6B. I've used that before. They're General's charcoal pencils, and they're wonderful. They're beautiful compressed charcoal. There's also Vine charcoal, and then soft charcoal, and I really like playing around with these. And then I have some kneaded erasers. And this one is, I just bought this, and it's already, like, I've been using it quite a bit. It's a Derwent, and it's actually got some kind of like grittiness to it. It's very cool and very dark. I really like that one as well. Okay, so I'm gonna show you different ways of making line in your artwork. But before we do that, I wanted to show you what I've been working on. So last week we talked about negative space, and so I was playing around with this little flower here and really thinking about the negative space and the shapes. And this is just a messy sketch in my sketchbook. The line quality isn't that great because it's kind of smeary, and I used this pencil a lot. It's very, very dark and soft, but it makes really beautiful deep marks in it. There's a couple places that I like, but the main exercise for me was just to kind of observe the negative space, which we talked about last week, which is a really important component when you are creating a piece of art, and where you're putting your focal point and all those elements to it, because it's like this quiet place, but it supports your subject. So that's one of the things I did. I did a quick little sketch of some flowers, and there's elements that I like. I really like how this line work is happening, and there's some fun lines in here. It's pretty much, there's not a lot of contrast in it from dark to light, and that's really what you want in your drawings. This one I really like because it's kind of moving away from a more representational, but it's still, it's flowers. I like the energy that's around this. I almost feel like there's some movement going on. And my favorite thing is the way this leaf turned out, and it was just a smush of a piece of chunky charcoal. And then how I got this line work here. I really like that. And I like some of this line work here. So when we're in our sketchbooks, for me, this is for me, and all of us are different. We all have different things we want from our art. But for me, it's about experimenting and what can I do? I'm just pushing myself and playing with the medium and just really thinking about my subject, the lines, the marks. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm fine with it being messy. And then I'll spray this with a fixative, but it's still gonna rub off. This I think is very boring. It's like smacked right down in the middle. And but I do like some of the interesting lines here. I was working on a value scale and playing around with this little container that I had stuck flowers in. So I was drawing from life, but it's just kind of messy, but that's okay. I was experimenting. I want to show you everything. There are some really interesting lines in here though when I go back and look at it. And that's what I'm after. So I'm okay with it being boring. It's fine. It was practice. And then I was playing around with another flower that I was holding, and then this is drawn from life, and I love how I'm getting this movement. And I've got some really dark darks, and the paper's only so light, it's kind of a creamy paper. But I have some interesting line work that's happening in here, and I really like that. And this is another one. We're gonna play with this flower today. And I wanted to show you how, oh wait, I got more things to show you. Hold on one second. So this week I've been really working online in addition to my negative space. And I have these beautiful photographs from when I was in Italy of this flower farm. And so I've been experimenting and pushing my lines and trying to find some movement within the flowers and not just drawing exactly what I see, but trying to free myself. And I'm really excited about, it looks like an iris to me, but there's a lot more to it. And I've been experimenting with different sides of my charcoal and lines and standing up. And I have two larger ones that I did as well. So you can see those. And I really love some of the things that are happening. It's an iris, but I'm not drawing every single thing, and I'm smudging things and redrawing and reworking areas, which are fine because I'm in this discovery phase. And here's another one, like I love this right here. You don't know that's an iris, but it was the side of an iris. And I like how there's certain elements in all of these. So I just kind of filled the page once I started working on this. And that's something you can do, like once you find kind of a rhythm, get a really large sketch pad out and just start moving, because it comes down, and this is something I bring to you from my training as a dancer. It comes down to how we each move. We each move we move our hands differently. We move our arms differently. When you're standing or sitting, you're going to get a different result with your drawing. So I want you to think about that. Quite often we'll be taking classes and we're in this tiny little space and we're very tight. So I want to encourage you to experiment in different formats and just get an inexpensive big sketch pad and just fill it like I did mine. I just filled it with flowers. All right, so I'll put this aside. Now, if you're just beginning, or if you're not just beginning, this is something I love to do. And this can get you nice and warmed up. So take a pencil, I call it the mandarin line. Okay, I want you to not hold your pencil down at the very end because that makes your hand tight, your wrist tight, and all the way up, even your body. And your subject, whatever you choose to draw, is going to be tight. And so we're trying to loosen up. And that doesn't mean when you're drawing, let's say you're going to draw a rose. Maybe you want part of it kind of loose and then part of it very representational and very detailed. And you can combine those two. So this is a great exercise if you're just starting out or if you have a brand new sketchbook and you don't know what to do with it. Take a pencil. I have, I think it's a 2B. Hold it from in the end here and start at one edge of the page. And we're just going to let the line meander and we're gonna work with a delicate line. Then we're gonna put pressure on it and just push and pull. And I kind of twirl the pencil around. You can do some scribbles. And just let it meander across the page. Now I have a mechanical pencil, which is going to give me a different line quality. And just retrace your steps. And you may be thinking, well, I'm not drawing anything. Well, no, you're really not. You're working on your lines because your lines, when you bring them all together, they make up something. So if you're going to draw a little flower, now, because I've done this so often, I can twirl my pencil and create this meandering line and turn it into a flower. And then I can bring other elements into it, like a little bit darker, and just retrace my steps. And so I have this little flower here. That's a little squiggly flower. Because I get hung up in the perfection of something. And when I'm looking at a flower, go back to this, I started out, I was a little tight even though I was trying to be very loose. And I wanted to really work on my lines. And it's very hard because I have to make a decision to stop trying to make it this perfect representational flower, because that's not really what I want to do, because I have ideas and different stories that I want to tell through my artwork. Okay, so now I'm going to show you another thing. So fine charcoal is also another wonderful thing that you can use to make beautiful lines. So you can go across your entire page of your sketchbook and draw squares and just work on your eye-hand coordination. You can fill them in different ways just to fill your page, and or you can paint them. Work on a value scale. Work on filling each square with like different patterns. This is a great way to fill a page, to work on your mark making, to just get your hand moving. It doesn't have to be a flower or a bowl. It can be anything. Any kind of doodle you want. It's your sketchbook. And then you can start writing some notes in there as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you, let's see. All right, so I have this leaf here. And so you just get a leaf off one of your bushes and we can look at it. It's very long and pointy. So you're working on your observational skills, and I'm going to represent it with line. So depending on where I want to start, I'm just going to create what I see at first glance. And there's this little stem. And then there are lines happening up here. All right, so there's a leaf. Now, when I hold it down here, I can see that it's got a lot of movement in it. Now this time I'm going to draw it. I want to try and kind of follow that shape. And so this very long and pointy tip, which I didn't make very pointy, and then it undulates a little bit. And then there is a nice long little part here. Okay, and then I can go back over it if I want to. All right. Let's see, what else do I have in here? I could take the edge of my charcoal. So I'm making lines. That's all I'm doing. I can also take this chunky charcoal and make a leaf. And then maybe add some veins to it. Okay, so then I have leaf from the lily. Okay, so I can write in there. You can also use a crayon. You can use anything that you have on hand. It doesn't have to be fancy, but each leaf looks a little different. They're smudgy. I can then take and just tape this leaf into my sketchbook with a little piece of tape. I can turn the leaf this way and capture that arc of the leaf. So it's how you practice. Just take things apart and start small and simple and make notes for yourself. All right, so I'm gonna do one more thing. And I have this, let's see, this pretty flower here. So I'm gonna show you, here it is. So I can turn it different ways and get quite a bit of practice in. And what I love about this one is dying, it's fading, okay? It's fading, so the little petals are kind of crumpled up, which I think are really beautiful. This one's starting to, and then this one, and this is the newest one. Then we have these little buds that are coming. So I am going to take my charcoal and I am going to just use this to draw with and try to capture some of the shapes that I see in there. And I'm not trying to create this perfect representational flower. I'm just practicing and I'm observing. So the observation is really important for us as artists. Observe a bowl, observe, a leaf. Okay, so now I'm going to take it on its edge. There's like a little squared piece and it goes this way, but there's a slight curve and then I can pull it down. Okay, now I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just gonna start making some very loose gestural, kind of capturing the flower. And these little squiggly, and I can rub them out. And the other thing is I can make it look like I wanna make it look. Like it still kind of has a flowery feel to it. I might take some of this out and kind of follow the line work with the line and how it's attached. I see some petals kind of in the background here. They're not as important. I like these little crumply ones, and I'm going to take my charcoal and just kind of walk it around just to add some interesting lines. Okay, and then I have this shape is kind of going up, and there's a little bloom. So now I'm doing a contour where I'm not lifting my pencil up, and that's a great way of just getting some interesting line work, and you're observing your subject. And I love doing contour and kind of going back over things and looking at kind of the hills and valleys of your subject, like where's the light, where's the dark, how can you represent it in with just a line. And when you feel like it's getting too precious, or you're really happy with it, then go in and do a little scribble, because that will give you something new when you do that. Okay. So now I can pull out a little bit of light here. I can go back through with that, and then you can turn it and get some different angles of it and practice different parts. And then you can also just look at the petals, take it away from this and really study that. Study how, and by using a bigger piece, you can find some interesting shapes, and then rub what you need out, and then kind of go back through. And just quickly capture the shapes you see. And flowers and leaves are actually great because they're so organic, and it's not something made by a machine, and you have so much freedom. Okay, so then I can just make some notes. And I like to write about the process of what I'm doing, and I'll go back to something that is in the front of this book here. So I was doing this for my one of my classes, and I just did these small studies. It's something that I do quite often, is just to figure out, you can see all the line work in here, just figure out paint colors and what I want to create, and then I write everything down. I find that very helpful to me in writing down what I'm using. Here's ideas that are coming to me while I'm working. Here I just took my peony leaf, I put paint on it, and I went and just made little prints of it. So you can fill your sketchbook with so many things, but you can see how I write down. You know, I have my thumbnails, and I showed this last week, these little sketches that I did from my trip to Italy, and bigger flowers, but let's look at the line. I was trying to get a lot of movement in that, and it'll translate differently when I go to paint it. So that is, I have a little scribbly woman there. So that's my, let's see, I think I did some, I think I just showed you those, these. Here, I did the same flower. I did them all very fast. This was the first one, and then these were the, I think this was the second, and this was a third, but you can see how they're becoming a little bit more abstract, and there's more energy to it. And I really like that. And I'm fine that I have all these smudges on the page. I don't care, because it's just getting it out, and I'll spray it once. So I will flip the camera around to say goodbye. Hold on one second. So thanks for being with me today. I hope that you will spend the week filling up your sketchbook and thinking about your line and practicing. And whether you've been drawing for a long time or if you're just beginning, just start. You can't do anything wrong. Just use your pencils, find a little reference, or just fill your page with a pattern, anything to get your body moving, your arm moving, your eye-hand coordination going, and just keep it simple. So I'm excited to see what you create, and I will see you in the next session. Bye.